to Above All Else podcast, a podcast for women looking to grow in their relationship with Jesus Christ. I am Jenn Kish, and I am here with my dear friend, Emily Byrd. We are missing Brianna today. She's away on vacation, but we will give her that pass, I guess, and do this without her today. And she does it way better than we do. So welcome to the Jenn and Emily show. Where you don't know what you'll get. Just as a reminder, we are part of the We the Church platform, and we encourage you to check out their website or social media pages for more uplifting content and encouragement and other authors and speakers there that will pour into you. So, Emily, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. So good to be here with you this morning.
It is wonderful to see you. I've missed you.
Yes, I know. I know. It's so sad that this is where we have to do our catching up now, is when we're recording the podcast.
But hey, it's at least in real time and face to face, so I'll take it.
I'll take
I'm
it.
not complaining.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
totally. Yes. All right. So today we are talking about, since Bree's away, she doesn't have adult children yet, and I am dipping my toes into the water of adult children. So I'm looking to Emily here as the expert in the room today. So we are going to talk about sort of, I guess, launching adult children, parenting adult children. Name it what you will. It's hard. It's a whole
Mhm.
new level of parenting. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So even if you don't have adult children yet, you will one day sooner than you can imagine. So put this information in your back pocket for later if you don't need it right away. But we're thrilled you're here, and we hope that you find something here that speaks to you. So Emily, what are we doing? What is this about?
Well, being that you and I are both in this season of parenting adult children, and being that Bree is away, I thought this would be a good thing for you and I to talk about, being that we are in the throes of it. And hopefully we can share maybe some things that we've done right. I have a feeling that I will probably be sharing more things that I've done wrong. So maybe you guys can learn from my mistakes so far. But one thing I have learned that is you I mean, here in America, once you turn 18, it's like, oh, I'm an adult. But that doesn't mean that our children don't need us. They still need their parents, but we really began to take on a different role. I think about as I've been homeschooling and all the way through, it was like, those early years, through elementary school and middle school, I'm teaching, instructing. And it surprised me that when we got to high school, that I became more of, because they had become independent learners, that I became more of a guidance counselor. And I kind of see, and truly that became more of my role rather than the instructor. And I kin that with how life has become as far as parenting as well, that I am not necessarily that instructor that I'm always teaching and pouring in, but rather I'm listening. I'm more of the counselor, and I've got to well, let's just put it bluntly. I just need to shut my mouth and I need to listen. And that's been a challenge because I want to teach them all the things. And when I see them making decisions that are like, you know what? I just need to stay quiet. So um I think we're going to just be sharing things that we've done right, things that we've noticed, things that we've learned thus far in this season. And so just share a little bit of the wisdom that the Lord has taught us. So I don't know who wants to lead off, Jen, but I'm happy if you do.
I just thought maybe we should remind people like what age children we're talking about.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you have
I have a girl who's turning 19 next week, and I have a girl who's 21.
Mhm.
And my 21-year-old is getting married. Um, she has left let me just tell you the stages that they're in. Adeline left for college as an 18-year-old, and she's graduated. She has 2 bachelor's degrees, and she's been away. She's done internships away from home. So she's actually had 3 or 4 different addresses. So she has moved out a long time ago. She would come back, stay with us, and then now she's living in Virginia and is on her own. So she's been launched for a while, but she is officially launched. And then I have an adult child who's living in my home right now, but um, she's got a room, and she eats dinner with us, and sometimes breakfast with us in the morning. But she's working full-time job, and is she's living her own life, even though we are still under the same roof. I don't get to see her very often. So anyway, so that's the stages of my 2 adult daughters.
Yeah. And so we have a 19-year-old who is in college full time and also works a significant amount. She is living at home right now, so I have her in my home. And then not really an adult, but I also have a 17-year-old son who's definitely in those waters. Like we're in the coaching, like parents taking a
Yes.
backseat. He just turned 17, so we're early into 17, but there is a marked difference. And the thing about 17 is I think he feels the difference, which has been a
Yes.
really interesting thing to watch. Like I've just come across like some post-it notes and things that he has written that are sounding very grown up. Um, Even in his conversations, I heard him on the phone with a buddy the other day, and their conversation was about, "What time are you going to work?" "Well, what time are well, after work, he was wanting some help on something with his truck, the buddy, and Dick was like, "Oh yeah, I've done that twice. I can help you with that." And I thought, "Okay, so I'm starting to see some very thin slivers of silver lining of all of these things that we've been pouring in over the years start to sort of come to fruition." And I feel like you're getting bigger glimpses of that than we are
Mhm.
at this point. So what do you think, Emily? I mean, I don't know, is there I guess keeping your mouth closed maybe is the most practical piece of advice, but what else would you say, and we didn't talk through this, but
Mm-mm.
what is sort of your guidance in making decisions with adult children?
Um, Number one, keeping my mouth closed. Unsolicited advice it is not received well, and I've learned this over and over with both of my daughters. And I have one daughter who's a little more gracious than the other, and she will listen to me, but I can see her face, and like I'm cutting off relationship,
Yeah.
and when she just really needs me to listen to her. And I just need to listen. I don't need to tell her how to handle something. Just listen. And the other daughter will just say, I didn't come to you asking you to fix it." And I just need so I'm still learning this. I'm slowly learning that unsolicited advice is not a good thing. What they need from me is not only my listening ear, but they just need my support. They know that, when they come to me or to their dad, there is unconditional love here, that we are for you. We are here to listen. We are here to support. If you need our help, um, they will ask me. I just need to, um, I need to allow them to ask for help rather than just giving it. Um, the thing that, and I think all of this is the overarching, the umbrella over the whole thing is, I'm wanting to give them help, but, I need to let them fail. I need to let them learn themselves. That's the way, going back to homeschooling, I was always really glad when my girls missed problems in math, because it's like, this is what we need to cover. This is where what we and those math problems that they missed are the ones that's the concepts they ended up getting really well, because they made the mistake and they had to learn it. And you know what? Those concepts, my 2 youngest, they've got long division down like this because we they had to learn the hard way. And life is no different. We guys and we if we think back on all of our lives, the lessons that we've learned usually come from some hard stuff that we've had to deal with. Um, Trying to be that helicopter parent, doesn't help. So allow if I would just allow my girls to fail, which I have, and that's where they have made their biggest leaps and bounds. Um, it goes back to, and I know I keep talking about homeschooling, but there's so many analogies. We raised caterpillars one time. We had all these milkweed around our farm, and we found a monarch caterpillar. And so, anyways, we put it in our little bug container, and it finally made the cocoon. And we could see that that butterfly was forming inside that cocoon. Well, finally, the day came. We actually took it to Hilton Head with us, and I don't know if it was the warmth there versus Virginia, but the day we got there, and we put it outside. It began to hatch, and so we're outside on our balcony at the condo we were in, and we're watching it. And this butterfly is struggling. Like, I'm like, it's not going to make it. And we're like, oh, it's the heat. We're trying to figure out because we've never done this before. And finally, good old Google, like, okay, should we help this butterfly? And the overarching answer was no, that the struggle to come out of the cocoon, if you help it and you make it easy, then that butterfly will not be able to fly away. And he will not be able to live on his own because he hasn't developed the strength that he needs. And I have thought about that so many times just in the last number of years that, when we make things easy on our kids and we're knocking down all of the hurdles that they may encounter, we're creating weak adults. And that's not what we want. We want kids who will be strong and who can fight their battles and who can truly take on the world, even if it means bumps, bruises, eh, attending sometimes the school of hard knocks. What? They will learn, and hopefully they won't make decisions that will truly impact the rest of their lives in a negative way. And those times, I do believe that you need to be given advice if they're making, life-threatening decisions. But as far as just those daily decisions that we have to learn to make as adults, let them fail. You don't have to instruct every decision, nor do they need your input for every decision. But I do think that they need your support, and I'm slowly but surely learning to just keep my mouth shut. There is a book, my friend, Jesse recommended it to me earlier, and I've only read probably 3 or 4 chapters, but it's Doing Life with Your Adult Children by, Jim Burns. I've got it right here by my bed. Highly recommend it. It's good so far, the first 4 chapters.
That's great. I need all the resources. I think you're so right. I learned when my kids were teenagers, especially with my second one, that I could really get him to talk to me if I just buy him some food, a drive-through. I put him in the car next to me, and I know that this is, they say because they're not looking directly at you. And like
Right.
if I just sit in silence, which is hard for me, admittedly, as a chatter, like I want to ask the questions and try to pull information out. But if I just sit and if I'm just driving in silence, he's going to just start talking. And if I will be faithful to just listen, I will learn everything I need to know about how he's feeling, what he's thinking, even though he's not saying, "Mom, I'm feeling this." I can tell, right? Decrypt is not a word. What is it? I can break the code, whatever that
Decipher.
decipher. That's
Decipher.
I can decipher the teenager adult child code a little bit. Um, so that's one of my things is if I have a kid who I see is struggling, I'll put him in the car. We're gonna hit a drive-through. I'm gonna buy you whatever junk fast food you want because it opens their mouths, it loosens their tongue. um, so I love to do that. When you were speaking, so I made some notes. I told you at 5:30 this morning of things that I wanted to that have been on my heart regarding parenting adult children is when you talk about letting them fail, that doesn't feel good to them.
Mm-mm.
Like I have learned, I guess like mama birds have to like push their babies out of the nest to make them fly
Yes.
because the nest is warm and comfortable and they may stay there and that's not where they're meant to be, right? They're not meant to stay in a nest. But that pushing has been really hard because what I've seen is that it doesn't necessarily feel good to the adult children, right? To the older,
Mm-mm.
I I'm going to step back and let you handle this situation. Even if it's something like calling the orthodontist, like with my oldest daughter, I'm like, you need to take over responsibility for your teeth now. They're 19-year-old teeth, and this was really when she was 18. I'm not driving you there. Like I'm not really involved in this process. Except that I'm the provider of the insurance, but you can make the phone calls, you can discuss, I don't know what you want from your teeth. I feel like that's a personal decision that you were equipped to make now. Well, Mom, will you just talk to him? No, I won't. Like you can do that. And so as they get older, it becomes more than just the orthodontist. It's, the college financial aid office or, well, now I think you should take responsibility for some of these things, getting your oil changed, or at least setting aside a
Yes.
time to stand there while your dad does it, like begin taking responsibility for these types of things. But I think the most surprising thing to me has been the pushback on that because they don't perceive that as love. I guess it doesn't feel loving when someone pushes you from a nest and you don't know how to fly. So, uh, is there, how do you soften that a little bit? Like, how do you make them take ownership, responsibility, and continue to place expectations on them without them feeling like we're shoving them out the front door?
Well, this is really funny. We just had this conversation this week, and I hadn't even thought about this being part of this podcast. Um, I don't know how to soften that blow, other than they've got to do it. But I will say, Clara, just this week, um, has made two doctor's appointments. Went to the one herself, and her words were just yesterday. It's and I was like, "How'd your doctor appointment go?" She's like, "Oh, it's okay. It's just a doctor's appointment. It's no big deal." Now, that was not the conversation that we had last year. It was a huge deal to go to the doctor on her own, to the eye doctor. And then she came back yesterday, no big deal. So I don't know how to ease that blow for making these first big, and I say big, they're not big in the grand scheme of things, but to them, it is a big deal. And making that eye appointment, making that she's got another doctor's appointment that she's had to fill out all of this work, and they needed, all of her history and vaccinations and all of that kind of thing. And she had to make the phone call because number one, she's an adult, she's 18. I don't have that. Even if I wanted to, even if I wanted to, I couldn't. And that has been such a joyful thing. Clara, you're not going to give me your information. You're an adult. So, and I've said the same thing to Adeline. So we've gone through that. But once they've done it two or three times, they realize it's not that big a deal.
Right.
So if we can get over that first hurdle, and mamas, if you need to use the whole excuse, you're 18. They're not going to give me your information. My hands are tied. And that happened with us in college too. Adeline's wanting me to, talk to this counselor or that counselor. Adeline, you are the student. I can't do this. You can do this. To ease the blow, I may have, we may go over, hey, you may want to ask this. You may want to, give them questions, give them a little bit of, something to go with. If so, maybe that answers your question.
Yeah.
Give them some things that they need to ask about. But ultimately they have to do it. And once they've done it two or three times, it's really not that big of a deal.
Right.
So that was my girl's experience yesterday when it's like,
If
"So, how'd
that's
your appointment go?" It's no big deal. Good grief, mama. Why are you asking?
right. That's I
It was a
handle
very big deal last year.
Yes. Isn't that funny too, how just it's like just doing it once just made all the difference, right? Um,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, so my second thing that I thought of, and I'm not trying to hijack this because this is actually your idea. So if you have points that you want to make, feel
Oh,
free.
no.
But my second thing is so figuring out what our expectations are. Like you
Ooh,
still live under our roof, we still think of you as part of this family, even though you're not here a lot because you're away you're at school, you're working, you're being with your friends, your boyfriends, or whatever. So I found they don't really want expectations. They want, well, free, I'm free. But that's not how life works, you know. even if you live alone, guess whose expectations you have to meet then? Like your own, like or the person who you're paying your mortgage to, or like there are people who are always going to have expectations of you. So we have found it difficult to navigate what is expected from an adult child who still lives at home. And that's a very specific question,
Mm.
but it can be broader and like how do you expect for your adult children to interact, or what, what expectations are we still placing on them when they're technically adults but still financially dependent?
Right.
Big question.
So, this is we're still navigating these waters. We've come to we're at a really good spot right now, but it took a little while to get there. Um, and I am a firm believer in the statement that expectations breed frustrations.
Oh,
And they do. And when my expect especially my unspoken expectations, and a lot of my expectations were unspoken, and I'm expecting, and I'm gonna talk about Clara because Adeline really has been out of the house for a very long time. She comes back, for short bits of time, and then she's gone. Clara has been the one who's been steady, so I'm gonna talk about her. Bless her sweet little heart. And she's been our guinea pig, so we've learned with her, and we've made so many mistakes, but number 1, I learned that I have to, like, when she's out with her fella, and I'm expecting her to be home by 11 o'clock. We don't give her a curfew. We haven't given her a curfew for a very long time because she's always been so responsible to come home at a decent time. She's not rolling in at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. She never has been that way. Um, and so, but there was one night that they were out with friends, and it was she got home way late, and I found myself so angry because I I, I weighed up for her to get home, and or let me say was waiting up. Things have changed.
yeah.
We hadn't gotten to the good spots at that time, and I'm like, she hasn't called. This is not like her, and I can see where she's at. She's exactly where she said that they were going to be going. I can see that they're still there. I know she's safe, or I hope she's safe. I'm not going to be one of those ones who are like, Clara, check in. It's time for you to head home. I'm not that mama either. But, so when she gets home and they're laughing and they've had such a great night, and she can see on my face that I'm frustrated. And the frustration though is, because number 1, she hadn't come home when I expected her to come home, but there was no spoken it was all me. It was unspoken expectations, and that's so not fair. So, the conversation needed to be, "Mom, I'm probably not gonna be home until after midnight. I'll come into your bedroom, I'll let you know that I'm home." But
Yeah.
instead, I'm expecting her to be home at 11 o'clock. We've not given her that curfew or whatever you wanna call it. We haven't given her a curfew for a very long time, but, um, so if I have an expectation for my child, I need to tell her. And sometimes those expectations she may not agree with. So we've got to compromise. And we've slowly learned that. Also, chores are another thing. It's like, okay, you're living in our house. I expect you to, you need to pick up, and you need to help this house run. But she's also working full time, and she's also a full time student. She'll graduate this spring. She's got a lot on her plate, and she's really not here a whole lot. So to expect a daily chore of something that she's doing, that doesn't work. So she and I had to sit down because I had unspoken expectations. Hey, you're not fulfilling your chores. You're not carrying your weight. But she is. So, and I didn't realize that she was until we had a conversation, and I was like, "Okay, Claire, we gotta figure something out. You're still living in this house, you need to pull your weight. How are you gonna pull your weight?" So, it's rare that, she leaves for work at, 10 o'clock or so. She has to be there at 10:30. So she does her schoolwork in the mornings. But most of the time, like if the dishwasher is full, I've started at night, she's going to unload the dishwasher. She's going to put breakfast dishes in. She has never complained once to take our girls, and, can you run errands? I've got to be here with this child. Okay, mama, I'll take this one after I get off work tonight. Like she's meeting, there may not be a consistent hey, I'm doing this chore every day. I'm feeding the dog in the morning and the evening. She don't do that. But she is always a helper. Hey, I know we needed milk. She's picking up milk on her way home from work. So she is adding to the family, but it's just in a different way. It's different than the way she was before she started adulting. So,
Right.
and she's keeping her room clean, she's doing her laundry, she knows that she can't do laundry on Monday. Mondays are my day, that's my and she honors that. She's not gonna do her laundry on Monday and steal my day. So she still honors me and her father in that way, but she's adulting, but helping at the same time. I don't know if that even answered your question.
No. Yeah, no, it's perfect because I think that what you have found is that you needed to find something that fit your unique situation. So,
Yes.
and I think the attitude is what really matters. So, and,
Yes.
and I guess on both ends, right? But if you are willing to stop by and pick up the milk or run this child here or that child, that goes a long way, right? With just
Yes.
making me feel like you are living here as an adult, but you are contributing something valuable to this family. So,
Absolutely.
I think that that is key and definitely and that we talk about that a lot in marriage because that is what Jared and I learned in our very first little marriage class, way back in 2000 and probably 4 or 5, that that's the most challenging thing is that you have an expectation that you have not communicated. So I guess just as that can cause waves in marriage, it can definitely cause waves in parenting our adult
Mhm.
now they're adults with their own thoughts and ideas and plans and schedules and responsibilities. Um, and coming from the perspective of homeschooling, there were so many things that I was able to move. For instance, we had a death in the family last week or the week before, so we had to travel unexpectedly. So for my kids that I'm still schooling, the stuff at home, I'm like, we'll just pause this and you can do it when life slows down a bit.
Mhm.
However, when they are taking college classes or even my high school kids in their co-op classes, those expectations remain no matter what is happening in life. So
Right.
I found with homeschooling that them learning to have their own like keep up with their own stuff and meeting their own deadlines has been huge in sort of reinforcing the idea that while we homeschool, our life is much more flexible than the average bear, but there are real world expectations and deadlines and responsibilities that you have to learn to manage workload. They're entering like work life balance, I guess.
Right.
Or
Right.
what they begin to learn when they have responsibilities held by an employer or college that we can just kind of sit back and let life teach the rest of that.
Mhm.
Right? Like
Mhm.
we've done what we can do here. I'm gonna let life teach the rest of that.
Well, and this kind of brings up in my mind what you're saying, that okay, you guys are heading to a funeral and your children have responsibilities there. So, and this is kind of on a little different tangent, but did all of your family go with you, or did you have to leave some behind?
So we had to leave our oldest two behind, which is what's happening almost 100% of the time, unless
Yes.
it's on their
Okay, that's
schedule.
yes, that is exactly what has happened with us, and one of the best things, and this was all within me, doesn't have anything to do with my children, it was all me. I love being together as a family. We've always done everything together as a family. We go to church together, we vacation together, dinner time around the table was always crucially important for me, and that was the time. And that was the time we all got together and you're talking about your day, we're laughing, we're playing games. That is a such an important part for me, but as my girls have as they moved to college, as they've gotten jobs, that became less and less and less. And the more I wanted to hold on to it, and the harder I held on to them, the more that they wanted to pull back. And um, that's where I truly, and this had to happen within me. I had to slowly but surely learn to open my grip and truly give my children to the Lord, that you have allowed me these 18 years to truly train them up and to pour into them. But now, God, I mean, they've been yours from the very beginning, but now they really are yours. And so I truly hold on to them with open hands. And when they can join us, that's great. And when they can't, that's okay. And one of the hardest things with this move that we had to do was trying to find, and I do not recommend moving away from your home when you've got an 18-year-old who, or 17 at the time, 18, who's truly established in her church and has her friends, and then you take her from everything. It was a hard move. The first year here was very, very, very hard. And the hardest part was finding a church that she was so involved at our church in Ringgold, and just had leadership and had that was her people. And so she was so good to go to church with us to fulfill what I was wanting her. It's like we go to church as a family. We are going to be here as a family. And this poor child, she's miserable and she can't find where she fits in with the youth group. Is she a college kid? She's a full-time college student, even though she hadn't fully graduated high school. You don't need to go into the whole detail, but it was not a good fit where we had finally found to be at church. And there was one night I was, well, it wasn't a night, it was an afternoon. Jason Byrd hadn't gotten home from work. And here Clara walks in from class. I'm washing dishes, and the Holy Spirit, it was so loud in my mind. And I knew that was the Holy Spirit. And he said, "You need to release her." The words were release her. Release her. And I knew that he's talking about church. And she came in, she put her backpack down, and you could tell she was just frustrated because the relationship between me and her had been rocky because I am holding on to her so tight, and you're gonna go to church, and we go to church as a family. That's what we do, and we've always done it that way. I was so hard and so ugly. And anyway, she came in that day, she put her backpack down, and I hear the Lord say, release her. And I just looked over as I was washing dishes, and I looked over the bar at her, and I was like, "Clara," I said, "I just have to tell you, I release you. You need to find where the Lord is leading you to go to church. You need to find your people. Our people doesn't always have to be your people, and you need to." And there was, and I just did this to her. It's like, "I release you to find where you need to be and allow the Lord to lead you." And she sat down on that bar chair, and tears just streamed down her eyes, and she's like, "You mean it? You mean that I can find where I need to go?" Like, "I do. Like, you need to find your place." And I'd already been seeking the Lord, but I was still holding on, not truly letting him lead my heart. And, and then I called Jason Byrd after the conversation, like, "Jason Byrd, this is just what I've told her. I hope you're on board. I know it's
Yeah.
the Lord, so you have to trust that decision." And, um that has been one of the biggest, lessons that I have learned. Not only did it help my and Claire's relationship, and she has blossomed since since letting her fly, letting her fly, but I've learned that with Adeline. I'm slowly learning that even with my Lindsay and my Aaron, letting them do their own thing and letting them make decisions rather than me being the control freak. And I would not have told you I was a control freak. And I don't think that I am. But apparently, in some ways, I'm still trying to hold on. And so, the Lord is revealing all kinds of sin that's in my life as well. But if I can learn to truly release my kids, and I find that somehow that brings them back to me, and not meaning that they're going to be back with me in presence form, but it brings their heart back to me. I
Right.
win their heart by releasing them and letting them make their decisions, and letting them, hey, this is what you want to do. Let's go for it. And if it works out, it works out. If not, you know what? that is a life lesson.
Right. You learn to listen.
Um, so in being okay with this new change that, my big girls are not gonna be with us,
Right.
and we still have 2 more that we're raising, and to truly enjoy and really pour into them, that I've still got time with them. Don't mourn that my other girls are gone. I've still got precious time with these girls,
Right.
and to just really make the best and the most of each day that the Lord has given us, and to enjoy seeing my girls fly. Like, we want them to fly. We want
We
them
do.
to fly.
And I think that's a gift that we can give them. They don't realize it doesn't feel like a gift, but letting go, I think it feels scary for them and it feels scary for us, but
Agree.
letting them go is a gift. But I mean, we traveled that same thing with our daughter is unhappy with where we're attending church, and I can't blame her in that. And so she is now attending somewhere else, and we had to let that go because I am not married to the idea of her being a member at the church where I am. I am married to the idea of her being a follower of Jesus Christ. So
Absolutely.
wherever she needs to go to feel like she is learning and growing and pursuing him, hey, if my pew is short a kid or two, I'm gonna have to deal with that, like I'll
Right.
see her go probably on Mother's Day and Christmas Eve or whatever. But like just being able to release that expectation of them completing our pew, or like those things that we want to appear some kind of way to the general public who's not even interested, right? Like, I mean,
Right.
that is where I struggle. But I love how you framed that, because I think it's important that you were sensitive to what the Lord was saying, and that you were listening. You're in tune with the Lord, so you can hear when He speaks something like that into your
Mm,
um, so I get that releasing them is hard on us and it's hard on them, but I also have and I don't really know if this is how this is going to wrap up, but I also have some feelings or opinions about what happens once you leave the nest. So
mm,
and in my in my own experience, when my dad left us, he moved in with his parents, for a
mm.
short period of time, but it was almost as if he was welcomed home, like, "Welcome home, son. No, no, you go back to where you belong." And then I had a friend recently whose husband left, and he went back home. And so these boys are going home. I call them boys, but they're men. They're grown men with families whose moms are welcoming them back home and cooking them meals and doing their, laundry, when the phrasing should be, "You don't belong here. You made a commitment. You go back home to where you belong." So I think sometimes we're too embracing and we're too loving
Mm,
and we're too, "I want my babies with me." We have to let go of whatever that is because it's unhealthy, it's harmful. I want my kid, okay, and again, when we're talking about marriages on above all else, it is always from the perspective of a healthy marriage between two people. Those two people are going to fight over the grocery budget. I mean, there's gonna be small things, especially newlyweds,
mhm.
that are they're gonna be like, "Well, I'm just gonna go back home." Uh, Home is closed, right? Like, you made a commitment, you don't live here anymore, um, you know, outside of some crazy situation,
Right.
and I think that I don't wanna call it an expectation now, but that messaging, I think, is like, "Oh, we have to figure this out because I can't go back home."
Right.
You
Right.
know?
My parents are gonna send me back to you.
Yes, my parents are gonna say, "No refunds, no," "You took her, you keep her, you married him,
Right.
you're not
Right.
welcome here anymore." And
Right.
I say that, and I'm sure that's gonna be alarming to some people, like, "Why you can't your kid can't come back home if they."
No, 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 no. If there's something going on and you've got a marriage that is unfaithful, you've got a
Yeah,
marriage that's abusive, yes, come home.
yes,
Come
come home.
home, come home. But you're not talking about that.
No, no. I'm talking about them feeling like there's an out, because he got upset that I spent money on makeup, or,
Right.
like things that
Right.
they need to work through, things that are gonna be hard at first that they need to learn to work through, or even away at college. you and your roommate, there may be a clash of personalities or something. And sometimes there are those same bad situations where you do need to get out. But if it's just learning how to live with somebody, then we're going to press you to figure that out and learn the life lesson of getting along with people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And my daughter did have that issue at college, and I will tell you, she grew from that. It was painful. It's a painful process, but she learned to be a negotiator and a compromiser, as well as she became a peacemaker between, and they would actually pull her in. It's like, okay, Adeline, we need to figure this out. And she didn't realize that she had that skill. So, but it was not pleasant. It was not a pleasant situation at all. But so, and we always learn from adversity. So trying to be the, okay, I'm going to try to keep my child from adversity or let them run from it so we don't have to face it. That is not loving. It's just not loving. So
Not.
they got to do, I mean, it's your quote, you got to do hard things. They have to
Yeah.
do hard
We
things.
have to do hard things. Yes. And we have to let go and let them do hard things, even if we
Yes.
think they might fail. So,
And because those are the hard things that we as parents have to do as well.
yes.
We're all doing hard things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's good. That's good.
Well, I think there's a million things that we could talk about as far as parenting adult children, but I don't know if we are. If I think we've probably met our time limit.
Hopefully so. We tend to do that pretty quickly. And I don't know. I guess we did give some practical advice. Listen
So,
more than you talk, right?
mhm.
Feed them fast food. It helps.
Yes, and it does. And I do. Oh, one other thing that I haven't written down, but you were talking, and it I thought about the night that one of my girls just said, I needed a hot meal tonight. And she just like still feeding our kids. They those feelings of having a hot meal cooked by mama evoke feelings of home. They need that feeling of home as well. And I don't know about boys, but I do know that my girls still need hugs. They need to be held. And not that I'm bringing them on my lap and holding them like a little baby, but sometimes we don't touch our adult children. They need to be touched. They need to be hugged. I need to rub their back. I need to scratch their back sometimes. So they need to. There's some things that from childhood that still need to be carried over. They need the touch of their mama and their daddies. Let me give you a hug. They need to be touched as well. So that's another thing. But not being afraid to release them and let them go and let them fail. I feel like sometimes that is more of our problem than it is theirs. So,
Yes. And pray, pray, pray. Like always, cover these kids in
first,
prayer. Ask God to send wise. My daughter was saying the other day that she needs she feels like she's kind of lost some of the mentors that she had around that she would run into. Now you have to like make
right,
an appointment. And so I did notice that she's got an appointment with somebody uh, with a good friend that she used to talk to a lot next week with a
good,
mother. So
love that.
I think that's good for them too to have pray that they have good mentors pouring solid advice into them where we fall short. Like you said, they don't take unsolicited advice well from us, but they do take it from other people, which is frustrating. Like, yes, I've been telling you that for 4 years. It's like, well, the way she said it, and I'm like, what? Um, but touch is important. My husband is so much better at that than I am. I'm not a touchy-feely person, so I have to kind of remind myself that kids need to be touched. But that is a really good point. So thanks for sharing that. I took notes in my brain of what you said today because it's not for the weak, the faint, the weak, whatever. It's
Not
parenting
at all. And we're learning each and every day.
every day.
And with each child, it's going to be different. So you're going to have different struggles. So I can only talk about two children, and we'll see. You'll see. You've got four more coming.
Yes. Yes. But the Lord is faithful. And one thing you said
Yes.
just to wrap it up, you talked about releasing the older two because you do have those younger two at home, and that's one thing that we have kind of been saying to our older kids. Look, I still love you. I'm still your mom, but there are four other people in this house. Two of them also teenagers, right? And then
Yes.
two in elementary school. So I am still very actively parenting all the fun stages, minus babies and toddlers. Thank you, Jesus. But I need this mental capacity to still parent these younger ones. So I
Yes.
need the adult ones to take more and more of their own things so that I am able to steward that well, because I told the older two, I was like, when you guys were this age and this age and this age, you got all of me. But now these middle kids, they're splitting attention with mom parenting adult children and mom still doing, and I'm like, I've got to be able to shift the primary bit of my attention to these two middle teenagers. And the 2 boys don't need me quite as much as these 2. We have to
Yeah, I do.
I we have to figure out where the biggest needs are. So, I don't know if this was helpful. I hope that the women who are listening, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that maybe you learned something. If you can't use it in parenting, maybe you can use it in friendship or marriage or relationships that you have, because really relationships, they're all pretty much the same. They all have that element of expectation, communication, love, affection. So I hope that you can take some of this and put it into wherever you need it in your life. So thank you for joining us today, and we will see you again real soon, hopefully with Bree back in one of these little squares. So have a good day, and we'll speak to you guys again soon.